The cloth does indeed date back to the time of Christ.
Imagine this, a piece of cloth, older than every cathedral in Europe, older than the printing press, possibly older than most recorded history itself, being scanned, frame by frame, not by human eyes, but by artificial intelligence. And after analyzing millions of data points, the AI suddenly freezes, not because it found a face, not because it found blood, not because it found scorch marks, but because it found a hidden mathematical signal buried inside the cloth, something no medieval artist could have designed, and no known natural process can produce. This is the story of what may be the most controversial object on Earth, and why AI just broke the case wide open. Inside a supercomputer facility, lines of code race across a screen. A neural network is combing through hyper-detailed scans of the Shroud of Turin, the faint, ghost-like image of a man who appears to have endured physical torture. The AI isn't looking for religious symbols. It isn't searching for hidden messages. It's simply looking for order, any order, inside millions of chaotic fibers, woven nearly 2,000 years ago. And then, the code halts. The machine has detected something impossible, a repeating mathematical symmetry, embedded beneath the visible image. Not random, not decorative, not artistic, structured, consistent, precise, a pattern that should not exist in medieval linen, a pattern that should not exist in any painting, a pattern that behaves like information, not artwork. And suddenly, the world's most studied cloth has a new mystery. The Shroud of Turin is a 14-foot linen cloth, bearing the front and back image of a crucified man. Believers call it sacred. Skeptics call it a brilliant medieval scam. Humanity has walked on the moon. We've mapped the human genome. We've split atoms. And yet, we cannot agree on a single piece of fabric. In 1988, 3 world-class labs performed radiocarbon dating and concluded the cloth came from the Middle Ages, between 1260 and 1390. Case closed. Story over. Except, it wasn't. Because long before carbon dating existed, the shroud had already shown the world something no forger could possibly create. When Italian photographer Secondo Pia developed the first photograph of the shroud in 1898, his hands literally shook. Why? Because the photographic negative of the shroud revealed a perfectly clear, positive portrait. The shroud behaved like a photographic negative. Centuries before photography existed. That wasn't just strange. It was impossible. The image is unbelievably thin, only a few hundred nanometers deep. For context, a single human hair is about 80,000 nanometers thick. No pigment, no paint, no brush strokes, no directionality. The color isn't applied. It's caused by a chemical change in only the topmost fibers of the linen. Scientists heated statues, applied acid, used laser-like UV beams, rubbed powders, burned fabrics. Nobody could reproduce this. But the weirdness didn't stop there. When the US Air Force studied the shroud, using a NASA device called the VP-8 Image Analyzer, a machine that converts photographs into 3D maps of planetary surfaces, the shroud produced something no photograph ever had: accurate three-dimensional information, meaning the brightness of each pixel corresponded perfectly to the distance between a body and the cloth. Not artistic shading, not illusion, physics, a 3D relief map, encoded inside a 2D cloth. No known artist has ever created anything like it. Then came artificial intelligence. High-resolution scans were fed into deep neural networks, trained to detect hidden patterns no human could ever see. These systems had no religious bias, no historical agenda. Their only job was to find structure. The result shocked the researchers. The AI discovered 1. A hidden geometric scaffolding. Symmetries that repeat across the face, hands, torso, mathematically precise relationships. 2. a complex pattern of ratios, like musical harmonies woven into fabric. 3. Perfect spatial consistency. The 3D encoding wasn't accidental, followed a rule. 4. A pixel-level organization, not found in any other historical linen or artistic reproduction. To make sure this wasn't AI hallucination, scientists ran control tests using medieval cloths, paintings, relics, and even modern digital art. Nothing matched the shroud. The geometry was unique, consistent, and most importantly, intentional. This wasn't coincidence. It looked engineered. Why does this matter? Because the 1988 radiocarbon test was done on a single corner of the cloth, the most handled, contaminated, and repaired area. Chemist Raymond Rogers examined leftover threads from that exact sample. He discovered cotton interwoven into linen, dye coatings, plant gum coatings, chemical differences from the main cloth. His conclusion: the carbon-dated swatch was part of a medieval repair patch, not the original shroud. Other labs have since used spectroscopy, X-ray analysis, and chemical dating, repeatedly pointing to an age closer to 2,000 years old. But here's the twist. AI didn't need a physical sample. It bypassed the debate entirely. It analyzed the image itself, not the fabric, and the image's structure, the 3D encoding, the hidden geometry, the spatial intelligence. Cannot be replicated by any known medieval technique. The AI used something called principal component analysis, a method that reveals the strongest underlying patterns buried inside massive datasets. When PCA was applied to the shroud, the face became secondary, the wounds became secondary, the blood became secondary. What emerged was pure information, patterns that acted like a law of physics. The closer the cloth was to a body, the darker the fiber. The farther the cloth was, the lighter the fiber. This rule held true across the entire cloth, with astonishing precision. No painting behaves like this. No scorch mark behaves like this. No rubbing, acid, statue, or photography trick can encode distance data into linen fibers with nanometer-thin resolution. It is not the behavior of artwork. It is the behavior of a process we still cannot reproduce. Some scientists theorize a burst of radiation, corona discharge, ultraviolet energy, a still unknown physical phenomenon, but no experiment has ever recreated all the shroud's properties simultaneously. It is both physically fragile and informationally bulletproof. It is, as one physicist put it, not an artifact, a phenomenon. If the AI is correct, and the hidden mathematical order is real, we are left with only a few possibilities. None of them are comfortable. 1. Lost ancient technology, some forgotten method of image creation that predates modern science. 2. Unknown natural law, a physical process we have not yet discovered. 3. An event beyond natural explanation, something singular, something unrepeatable, something that left behind both a physical imprint and a mathematical signature. Whatever the truth is, AI has proven one thing: the shroud is not simple, it is not primitive, and it is absolutely not fully understood. So now the question moves from science to you. What exactly did the AI uncover? Is it the fingerprint of a forgotten technology, a natural phenomenon we can't explain, or something else entirely? Tell us your theory in the comments. And if you think mysteries like this still matter, still challenge us, still push the limits of what humans know, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who loves a good mystery, because this story, the code inside the cloth, is only beginning.